Hey, what's up, guys? Alan here with EatSleepTrade.net. Going to be going over the watch list for the week of December 21st, 2015. SPY is at a very interesting point in its chart right now, and we will talk about that here in just a second. I hope everybody has a good Christmas. Keep in mind, it is a short week in the market. We have a half day on Thursday, and we're closed on Friday, so don't get stuck in any positions that you weren't planning to hold over that weekend, and sit tight. We'll be back in just a second. Alright, guys, so let's take a look at the SPY. Some interesting things going on with that towards the end of last week. Thursday, Friday got really interesting as we had a huge market sell off. This support area that we've been watching here around 200, 201, since the prior breakout of that resistance area, that confirmation that we got, and we wanted to see this area hold as support, and it's a pretty big area of support if the chart is going to maintain a bullish outlook. And as you can see on Friday, not only did we gap down pretty hard, but we continued to sell off for the rest of the day. There was really big volume, so really pushed this thing down, and kind of interesting here. Low of 199.95 and a low of 199.83. So we actually did go quite a little bit lower than our previous low here, and the chart has now put in 1, 2, 3 lower highs. So that's not what you want to see. You want to see higher highs, not lower highs. So the chart has been unable to retest these prior highs and continued to basically move in a downward trend. And I would be worried now, especially coming into Monday, looking at the sell-off that broke right through this 200 201 area and closed well below it. So going to be an interesting Monday. This could follow with market panic, and things could really start to get crazy as we could start heading back towards this 196, or maybe even back down to this 186 area. So be careful. As always, trading, keep your stops tight and be prepared for even stocks that look like they're breaking out to immediately reverse really quick and start heading the other direction as they get pulled down with the overall market. Alright, so with that being said, let's get into the watch list. First up on our list is going to be IRDM. So we got a nice wedge forming on this chart. After a big sell-off, we've got inverted head and shoulder breakout that occurred on this gap up, and now the stock's just consolidated, kind of filled that gap back down, found support here, and again, the range is tightening on it, and it's just making a nice consolidation. But what really caught my eye on this one is the huge volume that came in on Friday. So the relative volume was very high, and the stock did not move all that much. This stock also has a very high percentage of the float short, so set up for a potential short squeeze off this type of high relative volume, especially if this momentum continues into Monday and pushes this thing up. If we start getting up past these prior highs, then that could really set us up for a pretty big squeeze. Let's see, next up on the list, let's look at CZR. A great one that we've traded many times. Again, it's always had negative news and bad things about it, so on and so forth. But price action before news. This was the first time we traded this chart, and this was where the downtrend actually changed, and we got a good breakout on that and was able to take some profits on a trade like that. Second trade that we did was right here, and we were able to get in about 790, I think it was, if I remember correctly. And I was looking for this day actually to close up high, and then a breakout continuation to occur, and then be able to lock profits that way. That didn't occur. The trade didn't go as planned, but I was able to use this low here as a risk point to set the trade, and I just held on to it for a couple of weeks, and we eventually got a pretty big move and a nice breakout, and that's when I was able to sell out and lock profits in. So 2 out of 2 is not too bad, and now we've got this great wedge forming here. The range is tightening. As you can see, we get closer. Our moving averages 20 and 50 are right on top of each other, so we're going to be looking for any type of strength or any type of movement breaking out of this consolidation, putting in a new high or a higher high. As you see, we're doing the lower highs but higher lows, and that's how your range tightens. Look for a big momentum push, put out a new high, and see if we can't get some kind of trade out of that. Next up on the list is AFFX. So we've got a nice little, ascending triangle here with a multi-top around 980s. Pretty significant area of resistance long term for the chart, as you could see many times in the past. It's been relative, and the chart has sold off quite a bit now since its highs back at the beginning of the year. But it looks like it maybe could be putting in a bottom in as we start to put some higher lows up. Going to look for a breakout through this 980s area, currently pulling back right now, so we can use our 2050 as well as our trend line as guides to see if we are either just flagging out here and going to continue lower, or if the chart is trying to reverse around and maybe see if we can get a trend change and this thing starting to head back up above those 980 highs. Next up on the list is NEO. Watched this one a few times. We were watching it here after this big gap up and run, found resistance, and we're looking to see if there's going to be a pullback and then a continuation breakout on like a flag setup. Was way too hard to predict as we had big range on these days with a lot of volume, but it did eventually end up gapping up and having a big run. Didn't get a trade on it, but the idea still kind of panned out. But a chart like that's really hard to read unless you're just watching it constantly. And now we've kind of just been consolidating back into this area. We got the gap fill back here to support, so we're going to be watching that support around 7, and top channel here resistance is around 820, so we're just trading in this channel. So looking for either a breakout of this channel, since we've been trading on pretty good volume and had a pretty big push back up to that 820 area, 830 area. So going to see if we get a breakthrough or a move push through that. If not, look for a return back to the bottom of the channel here around $7, and possible to get a trade on a channel trade back up to resistance if we get an opportunity back down at this support area. Next up on the list is WIN. Been watching this one now for a couple weeks as well. Same thing, starting to put in some higher lows and big relative volume on Friday, so always a good sign. Nice candle that's set up right there, pushed back, closing above our 20-day. Want to see if that 20-day is going to get a crossover that 50. If so, we could be possibly looking at that move back towards this, back towards the top of this channel. So right around 680 to 7, and then if we get breakout through that resistance, that could move us somewhere back up to around 730, 740. So watching this relative volume, see if this momentum and strength follows through on Monday. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future videos. Also check out our website, eatsleeptrade.net. From there you can follow us on Twitter as well as like our Facebook page so you can stay up to date on all the stocks that we're watching and trading. Alright guys, thanks for watching and have a good weekend.